Hey everybody, it's me, Everyday Nerdy here, and today we're going to be working on the Killmonger sword. I don't remember the name exactly of this sword, but I had an old buddy of mine request it, and I'm like 6 months late. So let's get to it. So for this blade, I'm going to first outline it, and when I outline it, I'm going to use an arc, like the 3-point arc or a 3-point circle. You can use a spline if you want, it's up to you. And I'm only going to do one side. And what I mean by one side, I mean literally 1/4 of it, because I can just mirror that side and then mirror the back of it, so that's a lot less work. And then here we're going to be outlining the bottom handle, and if you notice, there's a curvature on the edge of the sword. So to do that, you could there's a lot of ways to do it. But for these 2 points, I used the consonant tool, and it kind of took me a while to get the consonant tool to get those points together. To avoid that, you could just have the lines connect like a normal person. So, and I also do a line in between because I like to know where my midway point is, and I need to have this be a closed polygon in order to extrude it. So, but as I was saying before, those edges that you see on the sword can be done multiple ways. I'm going to be doing it with drafting, but I'll have a link somewhere of another video where the guy used the spline tool or sweeping tool, and it was really cool how he did it, so that'll be in the description. So now we have the polygon done, and it's enclosed. So now I'm just going to extrude it. I'm only going to extrude it by one side because that's all that's needed, because I'm going to be mirroring every single step. And then here we're going to be drafting. We're going to draft so I can get like that edgy look. So luckily this sword isn't like my previous sword where the whole thing was kind of domey, so I can just simply use the draft method on this, and that's pretty neat. So now that that's done is we're going to get into, I guess you could say, a bit of a tricky part, but to show my mirroring concept, I'm just going to do it now, and voila. See, that's how the front would be done, and then you would just do, the back plane to do the back side, because mirroring just makes life so much easier. So now, the next step is going to be, I guess we could start off with, let me think. So the next step is going to be a bit of I don't want to say tricky, but I thought of a lot of ways of doing this, and to me, doing a fillet was the easiest way. And it goes down to kind of like, is it perfectly curved, or is it like a weird, like curvy angle? So it's kind of really subjective. I couldn't really find a good picture of this angle of the sword, so I just did a fillet to give it that look. But like I said, I'll have a link down below of a video of how another guy did it, and he did using, I believe, it was a sweeping tool, or it's I think it's one of those tools, and he cut it, and it was really cool. I liked it. I was originally doing it like that before, so here I'm just it's really hard. Like I said before, with the details, because I didn't really have the sword. So it was a bit difficult. Well, I didn't have like a good image. So, and I like to see things from the side, because I have like weird paranoia. If I do something for some reason, if I change the angle, it's going to look weird. So, and now here we're going to do the outline for, I guess you could say, the extended handle part of the sword. And then here we're going to do, just create some lines. I usually like to do extend when it's like there's a gap between two lines, because sometimes I'll do a line, and if I do like parallel or whatever, it messes up the form. So if I just hit extend, it's going to touch it perfectly, and it solves my problem, and I don't have to worry about me doing a line incorrectly. So after that's done, you want to extrude it. I just extruded like a little bit more from the previous extrusion, because it's just a little bit thicker than the previous one. So then we have that, and we're kind of almost done with the sword now. So the next thing to do is to make the circles. So you can I like to do a construct plane because it makes it safe when you change a face. And you just do a circle. In retrospect, I should have done the construct plane on the other side, and I would have just saved myself from when I have to create another construct plane to do the mirroring of the opposite side. But, you can do the other side, so you save yourself like maybe half a second of time. But here we have the circles. For some reason, I remember copy and paste was having a problem with. But after that, you just extrude it, go through the whole thing. To me, it looked like it went through the whole thing. If it didn't, it looked like that to me. Y'all can correct me in the comments saying it's not supposed to go the whole way. But then here's where I would create a construct plane, which I should have done previously, and I do mirror it. And voila. Look at that. Now, see, that looks pretty nice. Now, the next thing to do is we have the handle. So, to create the handle, I'll do a construct plane, and then we're going to do a circle at the bottom. Voila, circle, very nice. And you can just do a cylinder and pull it down. Very nice. You pull it down. And then, so the next step, what we're going to do is we're going to create the bottom base. And the bottom base is just like slightly bigger than, well, not slightly. It's decently bigger. So you can, everything I kind of eyeball it. So, let me see. Then we eyeball it. And then after you eyeball it, you do an outline. When you do an outline, you extrude it. When I extruded it, I realized it was a bit too thin. So I'm just going to pull it out a bit more, you know. And then after that, we're going to do coil. I think this might be my second time I've used this tool. I think this is a coil tool. I don't remember. And so you just create a circle, and I'm kind of learning as I do this. And so I do a circle, and I was like, what? This isn't right. And I guess I learned I have to do the circle from the top, because you can only go in one direction, I guess. If you go in two directions, I didn't know that, but I went assuming you could only go down. I also didn't really look at how people use the tool. I just kind of winged it. So I just created a circle, and I kind of did a little offset. And then what I noticed here with what do you call it? The parameters, I guess, on the side, is you can also change if the circle is the inner, outer, or the center line, which I didn't know. And I have mine set to the center line. And right now I have it in circular mode because the pipe is, the coil is circular. But you can also make it a square, which I did not know also. You could also make the pipe cut the handle if you wanted to, if that's how the design's supposed to look. To me, I liked it more as a joined body, so I just had it join the body, and then I would just play with it and see what I liked visually and what matched the sword a bit better and whatnot. It was a bit hard. I couldn't really find a good image. You'd think there'd be really good images, but the best images I could find were on these little figurine toys, and I have to like expand the image to see what it looked like. So yeah. And then, let me see what I do next. I didn't realize it finished like that. Oh, well, I guess that part on the bottom is kind of cut off on the finish. But luckily, it goes straight into, see? Because I'm lazy. I was like, that piece is sticking out. I'm just going to extrude the handle piece going up instead of it just going down. So you can't really see how that piece is like sticking out. I'll circle what I was talking about, what I just noticed what I did. So there we go. We got the handle nice and cute. And then this is where, so on the bottom piece of the handle, I was able to do a cheat sheet by extending the handle piece to go up so it would absorb the coil and like join the body so you don't see the finish. But here, I can't really do a cheat sheet. Well, I could. And so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to take that bottom face and just make it split the coil so it can just split it. Either way, so now here we have, we're going to do what I call the Fang Piece of the sword. And I'm going to do this by lofting. So I'm going to create a construct plane here on the bottom of the edge. And I'm going to take the edge piece that sticks out. And then the piece of the sword that sticks out. Which is, I guess you call the two faces, whatnot. That makes any sense. And I'm going to take how that plane intersects or projects onto the plane that's perpendicular with it. And so that shows me how far I can stick out and how far the sword is. Because the outer line is where the edge piece is, and then the inner line is where the sword is. So here I'm going to create triangles. I only need to create two, because there's only two different sizes. So the small size, I can just use a pattern to duplicate to the other side, and then the big size only happens once. So the idea with this is I'm going to create these triangles, and then I'm going to create planes above them. And only the first two planes will matter. After that, they're just going to be projections of the previous planes. First plane and the last plane will be in the same spot. And then there's going to be two planes in the middle where the triangles will be matching, because then you get that like fang look that goes on top of the sword. This may not make sense. I can't really illustrate it, but you'll see it as I go through this process. That's exactly what I'm doing. And I usually don't move the items until the loft is done, because it's hard for me to visualize it sometimes. So I just do my planes. And then after the planes are done is when I'll start the lofting. And once the lofting is done is when I move them, because it just makes it easier. So I did look at a lot of photos for this one, because some of the things had them, or these fang pieces were touching the edge of the sword. Some of them had them where they weren't touching the edge of the sword. I try to get as accurate as I can, but it's kind of hard because I don't know. Some of this stuff is hard for me to see, and I just didn't, I don't know. Some of them, it actually looked like the sword, it was engraved, like engraved. It wasn't like a pointy piece, so that was different. But most of them looked like it had like a triangle piece, so that's why I went with that. But you could also do, it actually might be, you could do the opposite actually if it was engraved, because you could just cut instead of creating an object. It'd be the same concept. Or you could do just a straight sweep and make it the same size. So here, as you can see, the last two ones were just projections of the previous. So easy way to remember is last goes with first and middles go with middle. That's an easy way to remember it. And now that that's done, we're going to do by pattern, you can replicate something. So since this is a straight line, you just do the rectangular one. And I kind of just like, when I move them, I'm like, how far is this piece from this piece? And I just like move it. And then voila, look how nice that looks. So now that that's done, all you gotta do is mirror that to the back. So you gotta go, and I think I'm doing this because I never created a construct plane, so I had nothing really to mirror it. But in retrospect, because it was already joined. Since when I mirrored it, I joined the bodies, there was no middle plane I could use. So I actually had to go and create a construct plane and mirror the features. So, and then there's your sword. So, actually no, too early. I forgot that I said earlier that I made them into squares. You could keep them circular, but when I looked at another photo, it was clear as day that they were more rectangular. And I was just like, that looks way better. And that's when I looked at this fillet, and I was just like, I don't like this. I think it looked cool if it was meant to be like a chain, or like not chain, like a necklace, like you see when they have that thing here, and I think that's cool, or a bracelet. But that's not it. So, and then I'm just gonna go here. I'm gonna do exactly what I did before and failed miserably. And I did fillet because I was lazy, and I was like, that will do. And like I always struggle using the sweep tool. I always go, but I think it's because I'm honestly, I said the mouse, but I think lately I've been using the touchpad a lot, and using the touchpad makes modeling a lot harder. I just use it because I'm lazy and it's the closest thing near me, and I probably don't have my mouse. I should probably be using the mouse more often. But that's the sword. Just gotta show that cylinder. I gotta delete the fillet. Don't forget to delete the fillet because the fillet on that looks nasty. But there's the sword. I'm trying to go back to do these. I'm trying to go back to at least 2 videos a month. It's been a bit hectic, trying to figure things out. I did a new haircut. Yeah, I forgot that I have to show my face on the internet. So until next time, bye.